Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news and THru HIker update. If you've come to this channel to find out about what's going on the Appalachian Trail, the news, and the THru hikers, and to help me build the hiker community and support the THru hikers, you've come to the right place. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on with the trail this week. So 2020, there's still a few folks that we're tracking out there. Frosty the Sobo, he should be around the Delville area today, and he says that the trail still has some snow on it, and that it has an ice sheet on top of the snow. Of course, we've had, that was a day or so ago when he sent me that information, and we've had a little warming trend. You know what happens when the ice and the snow start melting? Then it turns into a muddy, sloppy mess out there. So he's probably dealing with that right now. And then we also, from the 2020 crowd, we had Mayo, who finished at Springer. So congratulations to you, Mayo, for finishing your Sobo hike. And right behind him, his hiking partner, Nat Geo. Somehow they got separated and he was a few days behind him, but he should also by now very likely has finished his trip there at Springer. So congratulations to at least Mayo. Enjoyed that watching your hike, enjoyed your updates, and look forward to what's going on with all of y'all coming up in the future. 2021 folks, well, Timberwolf and Teresa, they made it to Neal's Gap. Cryptic, he made it to Neal's Gap. And we had a new ad, and this is a THru HIker Ultra, and she started this week. So that's a new ad from to our hiker list. Blowtorch, he got stuck in a Gooders Grove vortex. Imagine that. There in Franklin, but he says he is getting back on trail. That was a few days ago, so hopefully by now he is back on trail and on his way to the Knock. Smoking Joe, Scooter, Ice Bear, and Quicksand, they made it through the Smokies. So they got stuck in Gatlinburg for a few days because they had to resupply there, get off at Newfound Gap, and unfortunately it closed behind them. But they did get through after a day or so. They got out of there, and of course it was tough getting there. And here's a video that they sent me, and Scooter sent me this, and I don't know if you call this hiking or not. You be the judge.
I couldn't have found a better path.
That was so
Really?
Smoking?
Oh, wait till you see it. He's like, boom, boom, please stop.
So anyway, that just really don't look like too much fun to me. It don't look like hiking. I don't know what you call it, but in any case, at least they were able to laugh about it and think of the stories they've got to tell their kids now. Some Man Suds and 2Ps, they are back on trail, and they are in the Smokies. And Some Man says that the trail is awesome there. It doesn't have any snow, just a few icy patches, but it is muddy. And north of Molly Ridge, he said there's quite a bit of mud, and as it thaws, it's getting worse, but it is fantastic so far. And they are somewhere past Russell Field Shelter, so probably somewhere around Newfound Gap right now. And those are folks that are RVing, so they're moving their RV ahead. There's two families that are two couples that are have RVs, and they move them back and forth to kind of like Bobo's doing, or Farrell's doing with his cars, but they're doing them with RVs. Scatterbrain, Hiker 102, Candyman, and Pookie Bear and Karen are on their way from Woody Gap to Neal Gap, probably there by now. Julian C., he has got because of some issues going on with all the stuff they got going on in Texas with all the cold weather, and they've had planes that have been canceled. So Julian C. just wanted to indicate that he is trying to get in North Carolina by today. Pookie Bear, he did also tell me that he finished Blood Mountain. Obviously, if he was there with Scatterbrain in there, and he says he already has hiker hunger. Pookie Bear's pretty good sized fella, and I surmise that that's Pookie Bear hunger, not quite hiker hunger yet. I don't think that kicks in until somewhere around Hot Springs. Now, if you're a THru hiker, you can correct me on that, leave a comment and let me know if I'm wrong about that. But in any case, I don't think he's been on trail long enough yet to get official hiker hunger. Connor Mahoney, he got a trail named Gnarly, and he is around the Franklin area. Nadia Finet and Michael Santiago, they are past Neal's Gap, and they should be in North Carolina in a few days. The Blazing Bakers, they are just blazing right on up the trail. They are past Franklin, and they should be somewhere around the Knock in a few days. Susan Camphor, she is on her way to Neal's Gap. Dave Waters, he made it to Neal's Gap, and he got to enjoy, along with about 20 other folks, some of Fresh Ground's cooking. So that was pretty cool. They got a cabin there at Blood Mountain Cabins, and there was a slew of them in there, and Fresh Ground was cooking for them. Not so much. Saw him today on his feed, and he is done with the Smokies. So congratulations for doing that, Not So Much. And I think he got through there in like 4 days. So that is pretty doggone quick to get through the Smokies in 4 days. Pyro, he's getting ready to hit the Smokies without Cujo, of course. I believe his girlfriend came around and picked up Cujo. Going to take him around and meet him over there at Davenport Gap whenever he gets done. Mr. Freeze, he has made it to Newfound Gap in the Smokies. James Aspinock, he is with Captain 15, Maniac, and Leto, and they have made it as far as Unicoi Gap. The Bacos, they made it to Neal's Gap, and they are coming into North Carolina any day. Papa Groot, he got to Amicalola Falls State Park yesterday, and he has signed the registry at the Visitor Center, and he is number 164. So this year, that's not really telling us a lot, because a lot of people have told me they didn't even bother to go down there and register to Amicalola Falls, nor have they registered for the ATC. So that's not surprising me. But Papa Groot, he's going to get started tomorrow. Our calendar year Triple Crown folks, so Buzz and Woody contacted me, and they let me know that they are at the halfway point somewhere around Bowling Springs, Pennsylvania. So they have just cruised right on through the trail. And what they're going to do now, though, they're going to transfer over to the CDT and get started on it. I don't know if they're going to finish it first before they come back to the Appalachian Trail, but they will come back to the AT and finish that after the CDT. So they didn't tell me this, but my assumption is, as far north as they are, it's just really getting uncomfortably cold. They've been hiking in a lot of snow and hiking late at night, into the night, in order to meet their mileage that they have to meet in order to do the Triple Crown in a single calendar year. And so I would think that they just need a little warmer weather, need a little lighter packs, and that's certainly understandable. And then Horsepower, he's also working on his calendar year Triple Crown, and he's in the Shanties around mile 900. And he has said that he has had some nights and days when it's been like 0 and single digits, and it's been just really, really chilly up there. And he slept a night in he calls it the bivy privy, or the private privy. I can't remember what they call it now, but in any case, he spent the night in one of the bathrooms up there in the Shenandoah National Park. So that seems to be a trend among the 2021 hikers, is spending the nights in the National Park bathrooms. So I'm not going to mention any names of who did it earlier this year. But we have had another hiker who has done that as well. And then also a hiker with the trail name of Masochist contacted me, and he calls his name Masochist because he is hiking the Eastern Continental Trail. The Eastern Continental Trail is about 5,500 miles long. It starts at Key West, goes up pretty much a road walk across the road bridges up to the Florida Trail, catches the Florida Trail over to there's a road walk there in Alabama, then goes from Alabama to Pinhoti Trail to Benton McKay to the Appalachian Trail, which hits right up at Springer, and then he'll be on the AT up until he gets to Katahdin, and then he'll hit the International Appalachian Trail, which goes on up into Canada, into Newfoundland, up through that area there. So he is a glutton for punishment, and I guess that's how he got his name Masochist. So he started that on December 28th. Hadn't got, obviously, to the AT yet, so we'll be updating him whenever he gets to the AT. So starts we had this week, we got a ton of them, more than we did last week, and this is because we are right here at the bubble. So the bubble is starting to inflate, and of course the last week of March is when it really ramps up, and then all of March for like 42 days at least, the trail is maxed out. So I'm going to hit these starts really quick. Want to give everybody a shout out that's starting, that's on our list, but we're going to go fast. So Silva, Rocket Man, Not Yet, Dan Cody, Moose Liver, Yowie, Jeff Piquel, Steven, I'm going to screw this up, Fatanini, Jet, Crawl, Bear Paw Pup, Dragon Sky, Click, Tim Underwood, Papa Group, Not Yet, Waymaker, Huck Finn, Jack Lane, Greg Pfeiffer, 2 Pages, Josh Farmer, Chicken and Dumpling, Ben LeJeune, Chris and Erica Burke, Aspinock, Captain Coconut, Joseph Cole, Hazen, Gage, Brian Megan Gall, sorry, and then Murner L. Merriquin, Warhammer, Claire Glover, and then a team of Raina, Marshall, Merritt, and Olivia, and 5 dogs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right, 5 dogs. So there's 4 of them, so they're outnumbered. There's 4 of them hiking with 5 dogs. Now, you know, that's kind of I know how a lot of people are controversial about whether dogs, a dog belongs on the trail with a thru hiker, because we've already had one thru hiker that got off this year because she took her dog and she was hiking the dogs hike. Well, now they're hiking 5 dogs hike. They've got a basketball team's worth of dogs that they're taking out there. You know, I always see these dog walkers that walk in the park, and they've got the dogs all tangled up in the leashes. And you know, on the Appalachian Trail, you're supposed to keep your dog on a leash, particularly where it goes through national parks, national forests, and you really need to do that anyway all the time. A lot of people let them off when they think they're not around people, and then you come around a corner and bam, right there you're around another hiker who not necessarily happy with having a dog off a leash. So in any case, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I hope it goes good for them, but we will see. The jury is definitely out on that. So I had a few folks that got off this week, got off the trail. Night Train, he fell there coming into the knock and took a hard fall right on his ribs. He's hiking with Crusoe, so both of those went home, and Night Train's going to go to the doctor and get that checked out. That really hurts. I broke a rib, at least 1 rib, maybe 2, about 2 years ago, and you just cannot hike. It's hard enough to walk with a broken rib, much less hike with a pack and hike up hills and stuff. So that's very painful. Hopefully didn't hurt anything bad, and he will get back out there along with Caruso. And then Patches, she did not make it. She made it to Woody Gap, I believe, and so she got off because basically she's cold and wet. And that is the thing with hiking in the winter like this, is that if you're not used to hiking in winter conditions, and we have had a tough winter so far on the AT, if you're not used to hiking in it, you're going to be cold and wet. I think it was Leaks from 2019. He said one time on one of his videos that in order to know what it feels like hiking in the winter, you need to take your shirt, go throw it in the, soak it down, sopping wet, throw it in the freezer, and then take it out just before it freezes solid and put it on and wear it around. And that's what it feels like to hike in the winter, because stuff just does not dry. It's hard enough to get stuff to dry in the summer, much less in the winter. So it just does not dry, and that's just a happenstance of hiking in the winter. Lufa had to get off due to injury, and she was carrying a Garmin with I call it a bailout button, so she had to hit that emergency locator button, and they had to come and get her there at Blue Mountain Shelter after hitting that emergency beacon. And so don't know if she's going to be back or not. She's got some rehabbing to do to that injury. Kathy and Michael Murray, they got off. They just felt like the mileage, trying to get from one shelter to the next, the mileage that it takes to do that was impeding on how much they were enjoying the trail. So they had what I call get there-itis. They were more concerned with getting to their destination than they were with enjoying actually the hike. That happens particularly to type A personalities and people that are driven, and if you can't get beyond that, then it's kind of tough to be a thru hiker. So I think they're going to do section hikes. A section hiker, he's kind of got more time to get from one place to the next, and they still may not enjoy the trail as much. I know myself, I have to slow down and enjoy the trail because I'm like that too. I feel like I've got a goal in mind, and I've got to get to that goal as fast as I can get to it. And I realize I'm doing that, and I have to slow down and enjoy and actually look around and enjoy it. So Kathy and Michael, I hope to see you out there on the trail sometime. Mighty Bones, he had gotten off the AT, went down and did the Pinhoti. I don't know if he finished the Pinhoti or not, but he has gotten off the Pinhoti if he didn't finish it. And right now he's not coming back to the AT immediately as he had planned. He was in a car wreck at least I think about a year ago, and he still has some injuries that are giving him problems. Of course, he hiked 2,000 miles, so kudos to him for hiking with those injuries for 2,000 plus or minus miles there. In any case, he's going to go home and possibly have some surgeries and at least do some rehab on those before he gets back out here. So folks, if you're a thru hiker and you want to be included in this update, I would greatly appreciate if you would send me your updates once a week around Friday or Saturday morning would be great. But just anytime it's convenient for you. Sunday I'm putting this together, so I may not catch you. But send those to me. That really helps me out to get this out, to get out what's going on with you, how trail conditions are. I know that other thru hikers keep up with each other through this channel. They don't have the time to go look at everybody else's channel, and so, or the battery life for that matter. So y'all keep up with each other through this. So that really helps when you do that. And it could be something as simple as tagging me a photo on Instagram. Not so much did that this week, and that's how I knew he got out of the Smokies, so that was pretty awesome. I saw that, I got an alert that he had tagged me. I went and looked at it, saw he was coming out of the Smokies. Darn, he's done with giving me his update. Certainly, I would like to have more of an update so I can tell people how the trail conditions are, but even that is really great to have that, so I appreciate that. If you get off for an extended period, please let me know so that I can let other people, the other hiking community out there know. People, believe it or not, when you post for, if you post once a week or once a day or whatever, and you get off that regular posting schedule, then people start worrying about you if something's happened to you or not. People in the hiking community care about you. They're watching you, and so please let us know if you decide to get off for an extended period of time so that we know what's going on. I saw where Quicksand even said this week, he said, hey, I'm going into a dead zone, and he's hiking between Standing Bear and Hot Springs where there's not great service in there. And so he's let everybody know, hey, I'm not going to be able to post much for the next couple days, so just be forewarned. And that way it's just a warning to let people know that, hey, he's still on the trail, but right now he's in the area where he can't post. So what's going on with the registrations this week? Well, the ATC registrations are no bow. Last week we had 2,431, and this week we got 2,486 that are registered. Last week we had 132, and this week it looks like we had somebody cancel, and they got rid of their registration. They pulled their registration down, which is a good thing. You should do that if you register and decide you're not going to hike, then please go and delete that, just so it gives people information, because it will delete you from the site, and then people know how many people are hiking on that day, a more accurate number there. So flip floppers last week had 131. That dropped down to 130. We had 132. That dropped down to 131. Sobo last week we had 113, and this week we got 115. So the total last week was 2,676, and the total this week is 2,732, and that is up 56 hikers from last week. From last year, that is actually up 916 hikers from where we were last year, which is right at a 50% increase. So we kind of been jumping all over the board there. We started out at 40% increases, dropped down to 30, then dropped down to 25-ish, and this week all of a sudden we jumped up to 50. So I don't know what's going on with the data there. But we are maxed out for 42 days, with March 1st being the largest day so far of hikers. That's coming up, I believe it's Monday after next week, and that is 49 hikers that are starting that day. So also, folks have been sending me pictures of the registration book at Amicalola Falls State Park. I greatly appreciate that. They don't mind if you do that there. People do that for posterity. I really don't do a lot of posting of those, that registration book. If I do, I make sure I mask out people's addresses. We don't want to give out any private information. But what I'm really interested in is the pack weights. And so the pack weights are so far been anywhere from 20 to 45 pounds, with the average being of the pages I've seen, and I've seen about 4 or 5 different pages, so that's probably about 40 different samples, 40 different pack weights, which is not wonderful. I'd like to have more data, the more accurate it is, but that's all I've got. So it's 20 to 45 pounds is the pack weight, so that's an average of 31.42 pounds is what people are carrying starting out on their hike, and that's probably not too bad for a winter weight. So some trail news. We do have a closure of a section there up in Southern Virginia. It is closed at Nobo Mile 641 to Nobo Mile 656. We've had a major transmission line go down, or a portion of one, due to the icing that they've had up there. So they're having to do repairs in that area, and so they have closed it. And that's from Virginia 641 to Pine Swamp Branch Shelter. There is no road walk or other trail to get around there. You will have to shuttle to get around there. So you might want to be looking for a shuttle before you get there, because so everybody else is trying to get around there. And one of the things, if you registered for the ATC, or with the ATC, you registered your hike with them, you would have given them your cell number and your email address, and then they would have given you the option of how do you want us to contact you. And so what should have happened is the ATC should have put out alert to let everybody that was registered know about this trail closure there and about the power line, and that it was a safety hazard. So last year when the bridge got taken out at Harper's Ferry due to a train derailment, they sent out an alert. In 2019, when we had the murder on the trail and they had to shut down the section of the trail there during the police investigation, and because of that individual, they sent out an alert. So I've talked to several hikers, through hikers, that were registered, and they did not get an alert. So that's supposed to happen. So if you're a through hiker, let me know, leave a comment down below if you received an alert or if you didn't receive an alert. I'd like to know how many people did, because I've heard a lot that did not, and that is a question that I will have for the ATC to find out and get some clarification on that. So please let me know about that. And then I had put out last week about the Smoky Mountain Park permits there, that didn't know if you had to have it printed form or not, that maybe it was good enough being digital. And so I went to the backcountry permits section, tried to call them, couldn't get through on the phone, but I did go, and this is what it reads. It says, Great Smoky Mountains National Park backcountry permits, you must have a paper copy of your permit with you at all times while hiking through Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Please follow the instructions on your permit. Once you get to the park, a $5,000 fine and or 6 months in jail for violation of park rules. So I don't think they would do that if you didn't have a piece of paper with you, but you very well could get fined, and you also could be escorted out of the park, particularly if they caught you somewhere around Klingman's Dome where there's road access, or Newfound Gap, somewhere like that. So I doubt they're going to give you a $5,000 fine to put you in jail. I know that when the Bakers went through there during COVID, and the park was being shut down during COVID, they came across rangers at Newfound Gap, and the rangers went ahead and let them continue on through, didn't remove them from the park since they were already registered, didn't fine them or anything. So a little bit of leeway there, even during such a thing as the pandemic. However, so that kind of leads me to believe they're not going to put you in jail or fine you, but I wouldn't tempt them on that. I would make sure I had a printed copy and not just a digital copy of my permit. And you can get those there at the Nantahala Outdoor Center, the NOC outfitter. If you go ahead and register, you can register on your phone. They'll send you the permit, and the NOC will print it out for you. Fontana Marina, Dave down there contacted me, and Dave was a trail angel last year, and this year he's working at the marina. He's also running shuttles for fees this year. But he did want me to let folks know that the marina is a lot more hiker friendly than they have been in years before. That being, they do have a pretty good resupply there for hikers that are getting into the Smokies. So if you don't want to catch a shuttle into Robbinsville or try to get another shuttle somewhere else. Don't want to go to the resort. I don't think the general store has not been open earlier. Haven't heard if it opened up anymore, but you can get what you need there at the marina to get you through the Smokies. I kind of went through a whole list of food and some basic supplies that you would need there to get through the Smokies, and he indicated they had all that. So check them out there. They can also make arrangements for shuttles, and they can make arrangements for the free shuttle coming from the Fontana Resort to come over there and pick you up there at the marina. So just want to pass that along with you. That is another option for you once you get to Fontana before you start up into the Great Smoky Mountains. So Trail Angel, what's going on with them? Well, the Green Mountain Brigade, they do a Trail Magic hiker feed at Burning Town Gap every year. And so they're a branch of the Royal Rangers, and they are doing their hiker feed this year, April 9th and 10th. So I know it's a little far in advance for that. And, you know, if you're going to be in that area, certainly you plan to be around there at Burning Town Gap. That's before you get to the knot. But the main thing is, so if there are other trail angels that see this, just know that that place, they're going to be there on April 9th and 10th, and it'd be better to spread out. They do it there this time every year, and they will take up the whole gap. So it'd be better if you were planning on doing a hiker feed, not to be at the Burning Town Gap, to kind of spread it out on the trail somewhere and to be at another gap somewhere. So last week we had the bag tag drawing, and the winner of the bag tag drawing is Funkster, also known as Stephen Funk. So he gets his choice of either the small yellow one or the medium-sized orange and green one. And I'm keeping the big one for myself. But that one's too big for backpackers anyway. It weighs, I don't know, it probably weighs at least another ½ an ounce more than this one right here. So that, you know, that's just your weight is going to be way out of whack with that. So you'd be better off with one of these smaller ones. So Funkster, if you'll send me a DM and give me your address and tell me which one of these you want, I'll be glad to get that in the mail to you. And I'm going to have another drawing for the one that he doesn't pick. And so if you want the other one, don't know if it'll be this one or if it might be this one, but these came from 3D Creations. They're pretty cool. They're the most accurate one I've seen so far, that they have, you know, pretty much everything looks just identical to what the bag tags were that the ATC was doing. But have another drawing, leave a comment, and put back the words bag tag at the end of the comment so that I know you want to be part of the drawing. And it's important that you do that, because that is how I go and determine who wants to be part of the drawing. And I do that by a random app through YouTube that does that. And we'll get that to you. And there's also a link to 3D Creations down below in the description section, where you can go and buy you a bag tag like this for your trip. I got more info coming for you on the pipeline, what's going on with that, and not only the pipeline, but what's going on with the AT and their $19.5 million they got for as a favor from the Mountain Valley Pipeline, what all that means, and I'll be doing a separate video on that later. Folks, that's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.